All right, guys, more from CES 2021 this year. And this is one of those where I just saw the combining of things that I love. I love space, I love food, and they've combined it together. So we're here with Mission Space Food. I'm here with Aaron, and you guys are showing off something that just blows my mind. So everybody at home, about Astreas and what you guys are showing off.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. Thanks for the opportunity. Submission Space Food is a startup that's based in, I guess, Mountain View, California. And as you say, it combines our passion of space and food. And maybe I can share a little bit about that story. So my background is in space science. I've been involved in space science research since my undergrad days, working at places like the Canadian Space Agency, for NASA, European Space Agency, and so on. And I've been a hardcore fundamental scientist. So what that means is I study the physics of how things behave in space. And a large part of my research was studying how liquids and fluids behave in space, with the eventual applications for things like spacecraft design and life support systems. And I'm still involved in that research. So that's been a big part of my life. And food, like I love food. As a grad student, I try to go to a different restaurant like each and every time I have to eat out because I love experiencing that diversity and the textures and the flavors and so on. And my co-founder, her name is Shireen Riza. She's the CEO of the company, and I'm the chief technology officer at Mission Space Food. We had lost touch since elementary school for a little while, but then we reconnected, and we reconnected over food. So when we reconnected in Toronto, we went to a shop called Mutter's Dumplings. And this is a place where they create the most delicious dumplings ever. And that moment really resonated with us. It was like a really strong moment for us to sort of reconnect over really good food. And then Shireen sort of left Toronto and pursued her career elsewhere in the States. And I stayed in Toronto. But then we reconnected in New York, and we had a common friend, Stefan Reiki, who took us out for, in his words, I'm going to take you to the good pizza places in New York. And so we were having pizza, and Shireen made the observation. It's like, you know, why isn't there good food in space? And Stefan is he's a venture capitalist in the space sector. And so we're talking about space, and we're here we are with good pizza, and it just came naturally. Like, why isn't there such good food in space? And that's where Mission Space Foods started. It was over pizza in New York, and Shireen has a background in the culinary arts. I have a background in space, and we're like, let's tackle this problem. Let's look at how to improve the food experience for astronauts and eventually for the next generation of space explorers that are going to be up there. Now, I have to say that we're not saying necessarily that the food that the astronauts have is horrible. That's not what we're saying here. What we're saying is the food that the astronauts currently have on station is not representative of what we would normally think of as, enjoying that meal experience that we're used to here on the ground. So some examples of that would be things like texture. So when astronauts prepare foods in space, it's more of that military mindset where you have these military packs, dehydrated and so on. And so the astronauts would take the packs, inject boiling hot water into it, mush it by hand to disperse the water, sort of let it settle, and then they take scissors and cut the pack open, peel it open, and you're basically left with a goo for that. That's my expression for it, that they would scoop and eat. And all your meals, whether it's called on the pack, steak and potatoes or shrimp cocktail, or broccoli with cheese, all of them are prepared sort of in that way. And so an astronaut day after day after day is experiencing those textures, the same textures. And so what we wanted to do at Mission Space Food was think about how we could not necessarily replace, but how could we provide a bit more variety to that space menu in a way that would bring sort of a sparkle to the astronaut, would bring sort of this moment of nostalgia, of a connection back to the Earth kitchen, a connection back maybe to childhood. And so that was the mentality of Mission Space Food. Now, the other thing that we had to think about was, as a company, could we viably survive with just focusing on that problem? There are only 6 astronauts really in space at a time on the International Space Station, and having a consumer base of 6 people is not really a way to start and keep a business going. And so with Mission Space Food, we started looking at the similarities between problems that astronauts face in the space food system compared to problems that people on Earth would face. And in our case, being based in the US, thinking about these questions of US. And so what would be some of the similarities? Well, astronauts up on the space station, they're stuck inside a tin can, for 6 months at a time. Exposure to the sun is very limited. And lo and behold, here we are during the COVID era, and we find ourselves in a similar situation where we're quarantined at home. We're not encouraged to go out if we don't have to. And so there's this similarity there. And astronauts, in addition to all the other biological effects that happens to their bodies while in microgravity, being in free floating in space, vitamin D deficiency is a big one. And here on Earth, even without COVID, vitamin D deficiency was already a problem for the large population, but now even more so with COVID. And so as a company, Mission Space Food, we started to think about these questions of, astronauts have this mushy food. And so what we want to do is introduce what's, textural contrast and so on to the foods. Astronauts have to take these huge multivitamin pills. Sometimes they don't take them, and that's no different than people on the ground. So could we create a nutritional supplement, for example, that had this textural contrast, that had elements that would engage the other senses, things like sound, feeling a crunch, so the sense of touch, in addition to the sense of taste, and then other elements like trigeminal stimulation, so that when you eat the food, there's this train of flavor. It's not just one flavor from start to finish. It sort of starts with one flavor, and then it hits you with another flavor halfway in, and then it ends off with another flavor. So you eat this one item, but it's just wow, just so engaging. And then the other thing is it's good for you because we're packing it with all these nutrients. So Kevin, I know I've been chatting, but that gives you like an idea of what we're about. And so, health, space, fun, deliciousness, these are all words that we try to combine into the product Astreas that we launched. And so just to give you an idea of what Astreas is, and I can share with you some photos of it. It's a ball, and it's a multivitamin, but it's designed to look like a confectionery. Like if you ate it and didn't read our ingredient chart, you would have no idea that this thing was packed with nutrition. So we have things in there like vitamin K, vitamin Bs, vitamin Ds, and then elements that are in there to help, cytocholine and lion's mane. These are things where the research is showing that these elements can help with focus, can help remove brain fog. And we're thinking the COVID era, being stuck at home, this would be helpful, for people to maybe have a focus, help them focus a bit more or so. And each of the Astreas bites provides a 50% RDA. RDA is sort of this unit of measure of the recommended amounts of these vitamins that you should have, 100% being the full amount. And so we provide 50% in one bite. And so if you have 2 of these in the day, one in the morning, one in the evening, you've hit 100% RDA for a lot of these key ingredients that have health benefits. So essentially, it's a very delicious multivitamin, and so I can take a pause here and Kevin, and give you a chance to see if there's any other questions.
I just want to say, holy crap! I didn't actually even know it was a multivitamin on there. So I thought gummy vitamins are we're good. This seems like it's even better than that.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. We worked really closely with astronauts. Greg Shimatov is one NASA astronaut who spent 200 days in space, and we've been working with the ISS National Lab, which is the division that looks to commercialize space research on the International Space Station. But working with Greg and his colleagues, his other astronaut colleagues, and so on, has been incredible because we get firsthand experience or stories from them of the role food plays in the mission. It's not just calorie intake. That's not the role of food. It's a moment where the crew can come together and sit down under busy days. You can imagine being in space. This is the one time they can get together. And sometimes up there, you have different crew members from, for example, the United States, from Japan, from Italy, from Russia, and food is the common language, right? That's the thing where they understand the importance, they understand the homeliness that brings to the crew experience. And it was really interesting to hear Greg talk about like the role food has played in his spaceflight expeditions. And some of the stories that he shares, like I wouldn't even imagine this, but there's foods that the astronauts love, they really like them, and then there are other foods that are like it's not their top pick type thing. And so when the food is shipped up there, because there's the resupplies, sometimes the astronauts will go and grab like this is my specific thing, and I'll go like hide it away. And because it's a limited supply, they have to ration it within themselves. So even though it's like this delicious thing that they would want to eat every day, just to make it last throughout the mission, they'll ration it. And to hear these stories, what it told us in Mission Space Food is that food experience really matters. Like having something delicious, not just healthy, not just nutritious, but something that you look forward to eating. That is what we wanted to capture in Astreas, in the product. Now I focused heavily on the space side because that's where I'm coming from, the 16 years of experience in space. But the company, is I would say is even more focused on the terrestrial side. We're looking at demographics and people groups where these types of things would also be important. So, for example, I'm a gamer. I spend so many hours on Warzone, but Astreas is sort of like that replacement for let's say like an energy drink. It's a very different way of getting that little boost, right? I can have Astreas before my gaming session and play a little bit. We also have the ability within Mission Space Food to tailor the Astreas formulation for different groups. So, for example, for moms that are about to give birth, or even after they've given birth, we can tailor the nutritional profile to instead of the mom having to swallow this horse tranquilizer to get their nutrients, they can have something more enjoyable to get the nutrients. We're thinking about people like people who have been affected by COVID. I have a colleague. I'm in Massachusetts right now, and I have a colleague who lives near Harvard Square, and he shared like he tested positive for COVID, and he lost all sense of smell, all sense of taste, for a period of time. And with Astreas, trigeminal stimulation it's I guess the one item that might bring what's an example of that would be like a wasabi, where it's sort of like it's this flavor that isn't really stuck on your tongue, but it's like in your head. Another example would be like mint, for example. These are the flavor profiles that I think someone who lost their sense of taste and smell, this would be a way to re-engage that. So these are some of the different groups. We're also looking at like high performance athletes. We've had NFL players or who are now retired, but we've spoken with them about when you're actually on the field at the NFL and you're on the road or something, like what are some of the foods that they give you. And it was so surprising to hear that they just have a box of chips that's available for them, and they just grab what they need, put in their bag, and leave. And that was really surprising to us. It's like, wow, if you can think of a group where high performance and energy and nutrients and so on would matter, it would certainly be these groups. And so we had some NFL players try it out, and they were amazed. And one of the comments was, "I was so sad when I ran out of Astreas." Yeah. So this is a really versatile product. I'm thinking of students now that are at home studying for exams and so on. So I just want to tag in here and say, we're not making a claim that a medical claim. That's not what we're making
Hmm.
here. But that's the attitude toward the product. It's to help lift that mental fog, help give you that boost. And then I can't wait for you guys to try this, because when you eat it, you can't just bite and swallow. It's designed so that it forces you to take like a 30-second time to actually go through, eat the product. It's a one bite product. And so in that time, we've taken a lot of we've done a lot of R&D to make sure that the texture profile, you're not feeling them all at once and they disappear. It's like I described, it's that train where you're hit with one initial texture, one initial flavor, and then as you go through that 20 to 30 seconds it takes to eat it, it's just punch after punch after punch of surprises that comes through, and it's good for you. And then the one thing that I'll tie back, which I didn't, is the crunch. I focus a lot on the crunch. The reason why we wanted a crunchy product was going back to space and having that wet food that the astronauts eat. They miss the crunch. I think about when I snack, I'm eating chips or Doritos or whatnot. Not really because it's healthy for me. It's because I love the crunch. I love eating that crunch. There's something satisfying about it. And so with Astreas, we designed it to be one bite, so that when astronauts eat it, or even on the ground when you eat it, it's like it's not a messy experience. You don't have to deal with crumbs. In space, they care about crumbs because the
It'll
crumbs
get
are
everywhere.
floating. It can get everywhere, get in your eye. It's a problem. And so that was something that we designed at the Astreas. And what that means is that for people on the go, you have this. It's not a messy meal to eat. It's not like you're eating like imagine like a Subway sandwich and things are falling apart everywhere. It's just this really neat thing, stick in your mouth. You get the entire experience, no crumbs. That's the idea behind it. Yeah.
And yeah, I love it. And you kind of talking about your team too. Like, not only are you guys kind of part of your teams or experts kind of in space and nutrition and stuff, but I believe part of it was that you actually have a Michelin chef that's helping design the flavors too. So, it's not just kitchen cooks. It is somebody who that is their
Oh
job to
yeah.
make delicious food for people.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. When I think of our grander vision, we had a conference, and our conference title was Michelin to Mars, and it's that idea. It's not bringing the military food pack experience to space. It's bringing the Michelin star experience to space. And you're right, we have a phenomenal team. So I mentioned Shireen, but Graham Green, he's our chief product officer, and he's worked in a multitude of high-end kitchens, Michelin star kitchens across the world, like in North America, Europe, and so on. And so he's bringing not just his skill set in being able to create and imagine and put these raw ingredients together. And these are like, high quality ingredients that are put in. It was so surprising to me as an engineer listening to Graham talk about things like the tuning the moisture just right so that things stick together, or tuning the amount of air that is allowed into parts of the product to get the crunch just right, tuning the thickness and so on. And so I love it as an engineer, because that's exactly what I do when I design payloads to go to space. You're down to the millimeters, even micron level, designing that payload, and we're bringing that same sort of care to the products that we design. Now, other members of our team, we have a nutritionist. Tess is our in-house nutritionist, and she has a wealth of experience with coaching people on diet and nutrition and so on to take care of themselves. And we also have Roxy, who's a space microbiologist. She works
Oh,
on
wow.
bone and bone health, and she just got her PhD from the University of Toronto just a few months ago, and she joined our team, right away, working with us. Yeah, you mentioned Mission Star Chefs. We have Sachin, who he's a really I would say famous Mission Star Chef, and he has such a talent for thinking about ingredients and the preparation for ingredients. And this is something that I, as a grad student, whether my food comes in a styrofoam box or not, I eat the food. But after sitting down with Sachin and understanding the role that the presentation plays in my enjoyment of the food, it's like, what a skill set for someone to have that they can bring to the team for us to consider. And that plays into things like our packaging and the design of the product itself and so on. Other members of the team, we have some amazing advisors. I mentioned some astronauts and so on. Other members of our team have experience with the finance. So Awot is someone who's worked in the CPG market for I think it's like 30 plus years. So it's really great to have that sort of breadth of experience of folks on the team. And we're all over the world. We're, some of us based in Canada, some in the US, some in the Netherlands and elsewhere. We even have like a web developer in China. So it's really a multinational team. I love working with the team. I love that our CEO is, Shireen. I think we need to have more companies where it's like female-led groups and so on. And so, yeah, it's a fantastic team to be working with.
I love everything about your guys' company right now. I mean, it even kind of reflects in terms of our space exploration, like you talk to anybody who goes up in space, they're like, once you get up there, borders don't matter, we're all working together as a team. And I love that your company reflects that also. And I really love this idea. So, in terms of development, where are you guys right now, in terms of developing all this?
Yeah, absolutely. So we use CES to launch our Astreas product. So the website to pre-order is astreas.co. Our main website is missionspacefood.com. And so anyone who would love to purchase the product, would love to try it out, they can go to astreas.co and place the order there. So right now, all of our products are being made by it's artisanally made. So Graham is the one that's working with them. We've also have Alex on our team, who is the owner of the Oakland fortune cookie factory, and so we've been working with them to do like the packaging and mass production. So we're producing, we're selling. In terms of the flavors, we've got two flavors that we've done, and one is like a mint style flavor, which is actually very surprising to me how Graham created that, because when I eat mint chocolates, it's sort of a mixed experience for me. Otherwise, I love the chocolate, but the mint sometimes overwhelms the chocolate. And then when I eat chocolate, sometimes there's like that acidic aftertaste that comes. But with Astreas, it's got that mint chocolate flavor. But Graham, I really don't know how he did this, but he tuned it just right. It's the chocolate dominates, but the mint is there, and there isn't any acidic aftertaste. And I'm blown away. Like, that is just delicious. You might say I'm biased, but it's really delicious. And then the other flavor that we have is well, I'll hold off because I don't know if it's on the marketplace yet. So let me just say the mint chocolate one is great, and we've got a couple more flavors that are on the way. And yeah, I'm stoked because I've enjoyed these. I've had my colleagues I'm a researcher at MIT. I've had my colleagues at MIT try it out, and they've been blown away by it. They're asking me like, when can I get the next order? When can I get the next order? Which is what we want. It's this really amazing thing. In terms of what we have down the line, Astreas is sort of our first product that we're looking at. We do have plans to test this out with astronauts on the space station. So we'll see, if we can make that happen and go on. We'd love to have it as part of the Artemis mission on the moon, where astronauts can look forward to having this thing instead of having to take like a whole bunch of pills on the moon. But we're also working on developing and I'm talking like down the road, different products within the same mindset, right? It's within this mindset of flavor, of health, nutrition, of tying the experience back to childhood. And for Astreas, one thing that I probably didn't mention was one of the ways that we engage the other senses is we have pop rocks
Oh, wow.
in the Astreas. And I don't know about you, but the last time I had pop rocks was when I was a kid. And with that, when you eat Astreas and going through that sensation that you probably haven't had since childhood, it automatically brings you back to that nostalgia. And the reason we chose pop rocks in particular is because we know astronauts are going to be up there, and we wanted to tie them back to that nostalgia, bring them back to a very strong memory of Earth, And so that's what these pop rocks do. In addition to just being like this auditory stimulation throughout the entire experience of eating it. If you have an Astreas and you're talking to your friends, like the microphone will pick it up as you're eating it. It's like this very audible experience. So these elements of nostalgia, flavor, tying it back to home, tying it back to Earth, being healthy, and also being a very unique experience, flavor experience, sensory experience. We have multiple products that we're developing. And I'll just put it out there. We're very open to talking to investors and so on. We solicited ideas from different people. Bacon came up as a flavor. I'm a huge bacon fan.
I am.
Like bacon and chocolate. I don't see how you can go wrong with that. Right?
I gotta show you my giant bacon that
Yeah, so that's sort of giving you an idea of what we have on the horizon coming up. Yeah.
I mean, I love everything about this, and the more I've learned about you guys, even just in this interview, it gets me even more excited about this. And then just one more time, if people are interested in Astreas or keeping up with you guys, where should they go?
Okay, so they can go to astreas.co, astreas.co. That is the website where you can find out more about the ingredients. We've got our full nutritional profile listed there if you're interested, and you can also place your orders there. And our main website is missionspacefood.com. And there you can find out more about our team, about our advisors, and about the broader vision that we have as a company.
That's great. And then just to double check, is Astreas shipping now, or is it a pre-order date right now?
Yeah, it's ready to ship. It's ready to ship now. So we'll be taking the pre-orders, but we have a stock that's available and ready to go.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So guys, make sure you check this out. As you can see, this is a company that definitely cares about what they're making and what they're doing. So I love this idea, and I wait for the day where I'm going to see some footage from a NASA space mission, and you just see an astronaut pulling out an Astreas and popping it into his mouth, because I'll be like, oh, that is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the dream that we have as well. And I will say this, that working in the space sector, I'm sure many of you who have worked in space know the phrase, space is hard. And we've gotten a lot of shut doors. Let me put it that way, where basically it's impossible. You can't do this. There's no way you can even create this. And it's been somewhat hard where, you go to, let's say, people or agencies where this shouldn't be a problem at all for them to help make this happen, but to have that door shut, sometimes it's challenging, but it's not uncommon in the space world. And this is where I think the resilience of the team really comes through, where it's something that we believed in, and we pushed hard. Like we pushed ourselves really hard. We pushed the shutter hard to get to this point. And I'm pinching myself a little bit. CES 2021, here we are. And I think back to the initial investment pitches that we made, and we're like, yeah, we're planning to launch at CES 2021. This is like 2-3 years ago where we did these pitches, and here we are, right on schedule. So space is hard, but when I think it's don't let anyone else tell you no is really the story here.
Excellent. So yeah, I love it. And Aaron, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us about this and just showing, telling us a little bit about your company and what you guys are putting together. Cause I think this is worth it. More people should check it out. So I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much, Kevin. I'm glad we're able to connect, and yeah, let's keep in touch. And I'm looking forward to that space flight.
All right, guys. We should have some more from CES 2021. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. And like I said, go check out this space food because it's better than freeze dried ice cream. I promise you.